Hey G-fans, Gojifan1993 here, and welcome back to day 16 of Godzilla-thon 2014. Today, we will be taking a look at the beginning of the Heisei series with Godzilla-1984, which is also my all-time favorite Godzilla movie. Love this film. Everything about it is just awesome. Alright, so first off, the two copies that I have, one of them is a bootleg, because this is one of the movies that are really hard to find for some reason, and this one is actually a Region 3 DVD. This one is official, but it's Region 3, so I can't really watch it unless I have to hack my computer and all that. But, alright, so, Godzilla 1984, what can I say? It is basically everything that the original film was, but with a better budget, color, you know, a little bit better storytelling, but it does stand on its own, you know, as a kind of sequel, because what they did with the Heisei series, if you're not familiar, that this is basically, since it's a reboot, they just negated everything that happened in the whole Showa series except for the original. So when this Godzilla comes back, they're saying that, you know, it's been 30 years later. So it's basically a sequel. So yeah, this movie's I mean, it's really honestly the same kind of storyline as the original, only this time rather than an oxygen destroyer, they throw Godzilla into a volcano. That's really the only difference. Another thing that's new is that Godzilla, once again, he is alone. It's only his film. He doesn't fight another monster, but he does fight the Super X, which is a pretty cool kind of new army weapon that Japan uses against Godzilla, but ultimately they fail, of course. But this movie just goes back to its roots. You know, we're done with the campy, cheesy Godzilla's a hero, all that crap. We go back to the main point of what Godzilla is supposed to be, a metaphor for destruction. He's basically just a force of nature. And one thing that's really cool, the differences between the Japanese and English versions is that in the English version, they actually get Raymond Burr back to play as Steve Martin, who he had the first experience in Japan, and I think it's really great that they brought him back. And the thing that just bugs me about the American version is that they make the Americans so stupid. I mean, these guys are like, just throw the bombs, just throw everything at him, and then like they get Raymond Burr, and they ask him, like, you know, how do we do them? And Raymond Burr's like, well, you can't use, you know, conventional weapons. You know, they tried missiles, bombs, troopers, and, you know, bullets. It doesn't work. Nothing works against this guy. And they're acting, and yet they called him for help. Yet they still use all that stuff. So it's just like, I don't know. But in the Japanese version, they have none of that, no American thing whatsoever. But because this was 1984, there was still kind of tension between America and Russia with like the whole Cold War stuff. What's really interesting is that in the Japanese version, they have this Russian guy who's trying to stop a nuke from being shot from one of their satellites. But in the American version, they actually make it as if the Russian guy purposefully hits the button to shoot off the nuke towards Tokyo, and it's just like, huh, nice one, America, good job. It's just weird, the differences. Yeah, but it's, you know, everything about this film is just really cool. I mean, you know, it's dark, the music's really good. It's not done by Akira Ifukube, and I don't know the composer's name, but it still sounds Godzilla-ish. So, you know, it's not the best soundtrack, actually. I mean, this is my all-time favorite film. It's actually my also all-time favorite suit, which is also my all-time favorite roar. But the one thing is, it's not my all-time favorite soundtrack. So that's the one thing that it's not, you know, going for it. But yeah, I mean, the suit itself too is amazing. I mean, basically, it's like they took the 1954 suit and they modernized it, but they kept it traditional. Because like with Godzilla 2000, they modernized it, but didn't really keep it traditional. Like, you know, spikes are huge, and like he just looks, you know, it's more like the '62 suit. But this suit, it's like they definitely kept it traditional yet modernized it. I mean, this guy, I mean, he's just terrifying looking too in the movie. I mean, like when he comes out of the water, and oh my god, and one of the best scenes is where he takes out the harbor, where he just like blows up all the army tanks. Like he comes up and he just blows his fire breath and just boom, 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 just blows it all up. It's just, I love that scene. Something else that's really funny, there's like a hobo guy who's like he's in the like a restaurant and he's trying to have dinner or something, and Godzilla like ruins the party. He's like, "Hey, you just got the town, you leave me alone," and blah blah blah. It's just really funny. But this movie, it's just great to, you know, to from what the Showa series did, you know, and how they kind of made Godzilla childish and stuff, to come back with something like this is really awesome. I just love this film. It's also very rewatchable, and what's cool is that the Godzilla attacks Tokyo pretty quickly into the film. I mean, there's like, the majority of the film takes place at the, basically, I guess I would say the second half of the film takes place with just Godzilla getting into Tokyo and destroying stuff. And what's something else that I noticed that was really funny about the movie is that everyone says, like, when the Prime Minister of Japan gets the Russian representative and an American representative, and they're discussing how they're going to take out Godzilla, they're both saying, we have to use nukes. Why didn't the Japanese people bring up the fact that the first Godzilla in 1954 was created by nukes? So why would we use nukes on something that was created by nukes? It just doesn't make any sense. But it's weird. They never brought that up, and I don't know. It's really weird. And another thing is they never brought up Dr. Serizawa using the oxygen destroyer on the other one. Like when I was watching the American version, when the U.S. general came up to Steve Martin, he's like, well, how did they take him out in the first place? And then Steve Martin's like, well, they never found a body. And I'm like, well, but the bones. Where are the bones, right? Or did the bones dissolve too? I don't know, but there's just a lot of weird things like that I noticed, but overall, it's just a really good movie. Yeah, it's just awesome. And also, something else I have to talk about is the 30-foot animatronic Robo Goji that they used. I mean, this thing was, I guess they used it for a lot of close-up shots, and I know that they did this kind of technique with the newer movies, but it wasn't a gigantic like robot like they used. It was just like a close-up torso. But they mostly used it for close-up shots so that they wouldn't have to keep on putting the actor back into the suit just for a close-up. So they just did that, and by today's standard, it's pretty dated. But you know, it still looks kind of cool. I still kind of think it looks cool just because it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's just cool to see something like that. It's like a really expensive amusement park thing that you see, like an animatronic figure or whatever. But definitely to today's standard, it's definitely cheap looking. But and also something that is kind of weird is that compared to the suit, the animatronic looks way different, actually, like the face structure and everything. So when they're kind of going back and forth between shots of Godzilla and then when they're going to close-up shots, it's kind of jarring because you're like, well, he looks different all of a sudden. It's weird. They always do that, though, in these Godzilla films. They always have different kind of suits for different things. Yeah, so I'm just trying to think if I'm forgetting anything else to talk about this film. I mean, I guess, you know, something that I also want to talk about is with this Godzilla-thon, I'm going to start... I think what I have been doing is that I've just been kind of talking about the film because I don't really do constructive reviews on these films. What I've been kind of doing is I've just been kind of talking about them. So that's basically what I wanted to do with this, and that's what I wanted to try and do for the future reviews, is just kind of talk about the films rather than do like a really constructive review, because I suck at doing reviews. So I'd rather just kind of have the fun of talking about it. And I think I've been doing that with the other ones, but I don't know. But I know that you guys have been loving the Godzilla-thon so far, so thank you very much for enjoying it. It's been fun to do, being able to rewatch all the Godzilla films up to the new film, and yeah, so... But that's pretty much all I got for Godzilla 1984. Epic movie, go get it. Obviously, there's no official release yet. There's rumors going around that there might be a Blu-ray release soon. But if you want a Blu-ray release, the only thing you're going to be able to get is the Toho Blu-ray that you'll have to get an import from. And those movies are like about $60 a pop. So it's a little bit expensive. I'm planning on getting one at least at G-Fest. When I go to G-Fest, I'm planning on finding the Toho Blu-ray of Godzilla 1994. I would love to get it there. So, but hopefully soon, along with all these other movies that are being released on Blu-ray, sooner or later they'll get this one to come out on Blu-ray. I'm really hoping so. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for tomorrow for Godzilla vs. Biollante, and I'll see you guys then. Stay big, G fans.